Hello everyone, this is Sean, and this is part one of the 1000 scale Voyager build. I'm actually going to build it like it is on the picture with the landing legs on it. And as far as the painting, I'm going to prime it in, let me check the color here. Oh yes, this is the opaque version of Voyager, as you can see here. So actually, I'm going to have to prime it with the gray. Now let's see here. Both of them? Good. Yeah, I'll have to prime it with the gray. And I've already decided I'm using the light ghost gray to distinguish it from the Defiant. And if I remember right, I went yesterday and I bought a Tamiya light ghost gray, and I bought a Mr. Hobby Color light ghost gray also. And of course, before I had done that, I had mixed up, taken all the grays I had: Folk Art, Model Air, Game Color, Army Paint, Testers, and yeah, I'd got all the grays from them. Now, let's see here. I have, oh yes, one more thing. The guide. What is going to be my detail painting guide? Well, it depends how big the parts are, but I have the Revell guide from the 600 scale Voyager. Well, I think it's 670. Oh, there's its decals. All right. That's for the other one. But if you look here, for instance, now, on my 1000 scale, that's taken up with decals. But you see here, you see the thrusters, and you see the three different colors? One of them is a F. TS7 NATO brown flat, but I'm probably going to use the metallic brown. And then of course it has N, which is a gray metallic, a dark gray. But as you see, I have a dark gray here from Folk Art. And inside is a medium gray outline. Well, actually, looks like some kind of beige. You see? E is beige matte. I might have a beige. We'll see how much detail I can do on those thrusters. And of course, then there are these thrusters. They have the same three colors as you can see here. Now, is there anything else I have to detail paint? Let's see. Oh, yes. There is the front part. You can see all the colors on there. And you can see the color key there for all those colors. But that should be all that I have to detail paint on Voyager. Oh, the phaser strips. I keep forgetting about the phaser strips, don't I? What is the detail painting color for them? I gotta find something that's pointing at them. Oh, E. There we go. E is beige again. So it's almost like there's a beige on the phasers. I'm going to use that Revell guide because that's from 2019, I think. So that should be quite good. And of course you have the color for the clear blue. I'm going to probably use the same blue as I used on the Excelsior, because I don't have any spray paint that's any lighter, I'm afraid. TS72, huh? Just a minute. Not the TS72. You can see it's still way too dark. And you can't use the intermediate blue. French blue is too dark. So the light blue it's going to be. The same one from the Excelsior. Alright, but that's something I will be detail painting at a later time. And there's a bright red for the Bassett collectors. Yeah, it's better than the metallic red. And I'll look through all the other colors I have, and we'll see how much has to be detail painted and how much has to be spray painted. But anyway, I will get out the parts here and we'll take a look, because I have to set them up for the priming anyway. So I'll be right back. Here's the clear parts. I have outlined the part numbers in light blue. Of course, I'm going to use the white primer on the clear parts, but that's probably something I'll be painting tomorrow, because I want to do the detail painting on the main hull first. And as you can see, I have the bottom of the main hull, so best thing to do is to tape it down that way. Detail side up, of course. Maybe tape off these hooks, of course, because that's for the other part. Because I'm sure there's a part, the secondary hull goes over that entire thing, so you don't need to worry about painting that. Same with these pegs. If I just run some tape along top of the pegs, then they won't get paint in them. There's the clear deflector dish. And then you can see, you see it's the clear version. And then you can see the other parts here. So, there's one. All right, so what it looks like from here is you're probably going to have to, it's okay, you can paint this side. Actually, I'm going to have to paint those parts off the sprue. I'm going to have to assemble some stuff before I even do the painting. It's fine here, because here's the top, here's a flat piece, here's a relatively flat piece. So I'm going to have to do some assembly, but that's going to be tomorrow. Or tonight while the stuff is drying. Okay, fortunately I recognize Voyager's parts on site, so you have bottom saucer, top saucer with the pegs taped off. You have bottom secondary hull. With deflector dish, I snap fit it before I even put primer on there. Shuttle bay fantail, top spine piece. So they are all going to be primed as they are. And then I'll do any detail painting as necessary, like the phasers. And then I will mask off with the tiny masking tape the phasers, so that I can do, and the RCS thrusters, so that I can do the detail painting. But I need to primer it gray so I can see the parts. So I'm going to warm up the spray cans, and that'll be all I can do for now, because as you see, these small parts, including the landing legs, detail painting probably. And don't lose them. And these parts, well, the way they're connected to the sprue trees, you still can't get at that side. So what I'm going to do with the nacelle parts and the secondary hull is I'm going to try to assemble at least the nacelles before I prime anything. You can still fit the nacelles onto the tab without having to do anything more, I think. Or at least cut the side tabs off the nacelles, label underneath with silver Sharpie what part number it is, and so forth. Because this is where symmetrical halves have to come in place. So that's all for now. And I will warm up the gray primer, and I'll come back when everything's primed. See you then. Alright, so I'm out here with the light gray primer, and I'm going to spray paint the parts and we'll see how it turns out. I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back. You can see how what was once yellow tape is now faded gray, but I made sure I got even coverage on all the parts. And one of the other reasons that I put the deflector on is I'm hoping the paint will fill that gap. Now you can see the landing leg slots. You can see the mounting hole slots. You can see where I can do some iridescent or pearlescent paneling if there's no decals to cover it. You can see the same on the fantail. And you can see where there is iridescent potential right there on the spine. I'm not going to try and do it on the main top hull of Voyager because there's just too much there. There's not enough. Besides, I have windows to do. But I can try to do iridescent on either side of the phasers. Those look like the navigation lights. Iridescent in there. And iridescent around the outer rim of the inner edge of the saucer. Of course, I'll do that after I mask off the phasers. So we'll see how it all dries. Hopefully it'll dry okay, and I'll come back. Let's see here. I don't have another box to prime anything else tonight, so I'm going to have to wait until tomorrow for that. And you never know what parts you have to assemble first before you can prime anything, although I'll try not to put the clear parts inside. I'll just try to assemble the two halves of the secondary hull loosely, or at least cut them off the sprue trees so they can at least sit flat, maybe be gripped by little clippers from underneath. That'd be good. Alright, so that's all for tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hi everyone, it's Sean. I'm back again. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to apply the light gray primer to the other parts of the main hull of Voyager. I realized that for this weekend I can focus just on the parts I'm detail painting. And you see how I painted with blue Sharpie the part numbers, but what I also did is I went with the silver Sharpie and I put the part numbers on the back of the parts themselves, the parts that you won't see because they'll be together. And since it's not black, it's not going to show through. So I'm going to cut them off their sprues and put them in the clippers, and we'll be good. So there we are. All I have to do is tape it on the inside and it'll stay on the car body thing. These 4 nacelle pieces have been clipped. All I have to do is put that in the hole, and it can be spray painted, or you just tape it down on the non-attaching side, which is technically like that, you see? So you just tape that like that. There you go. Everything's ready for primer now. So all I have to do is heat up the primer can, and I can do that. So I'll show you the results when I'm done. That'll be all for today, because I don't have to rush to do the clear parts. I can start detail painting tomorrow. Alright, so here's all the parts primed. And you can see that the part numbers were not completely obscured by that priming. But I'll put them in the proper position now for drying, so they're out of the way. So there's where the parts will stay until the primer is done. You can see how it fit perfectly on the car thing. And even that central part there was able to get primed, as were the 4 nacelles halves. And you can see underneath the nacelle halves how the Sharpie color is still visible. So that'll be all for now, and I'll see you tomorrow night for beginning of masking and detail painting on these parts. Hi everyone, it's Sean. This is continuing part 1 of the Voyager build. It's the primer stage. And what I did today is I primed the secondary hull and the 4 nacelle halves and the shuttle bay, and I guess that's the shuttle bay door. But what I also did, because I realized I would lose track if I didn't, is that I made sure that I labeled the part numbers underneath the nacelles halves, as you can see. And I also, I'll lift this up carefully. Well, they still have the part number on the sprue tree, as you can see here. but I wasn't sure that would take. Remember, there's a few pieces I had to cut off the sprue tree. So I also put the part number, well, it's hidden by the tape that's holding it, but I put the part number under there. Now you see how it's not as gray on the interior? Well, that's a happy accident because that interior is going to have to be used for attaching the saucer anyway. Now, if that part was filmed upside down, I'll be doing some rotating and editing in this video. But what I'm preparing for tomorrow, with all my tape, is I'm going to use the Tamiya Haze Gray, which is only a little darker than the hull color I'm picking, which is light ghost gray. And I'm going to put the Haze Gray in the panels, the ones that have grid lines, like there. And on the bottom of the saucer, it's going to go here. And maybe even there, too. And there, in here, both of them, on the front grid of the saucer, and that should be about it. Now, why I'm picking those regions is because they're mentioned on the 670 scale by Revell Voyager kit from 2019, Revell, Germany, see? And I realized that I can paint them by hand. So I'll probably end up painting the phasers by hand, using one of my browns. And see how it's light? I want that to be light too, so I'm just trying to make it all the same color, because it is only 1000 scale. But this is the paint guide I'll use for marking out all the colors. Use my magnifying glass for that. And then there you go, the phasers. Now you see, Tamiya Royal Light Gray is here and here. Well, I have a light color. But see, there's the slightly darker panels, but you see they're only slightly darker. And you see how this is a Royal Light Gray hull, practically. Of course, I'm not going to use that for this one. And look, see? There. So on the spine, there's some darker color. And then, of course, on the secondary hull, all swell. So in there, in there. Now, I know on the 650, it's right there. But I'm not doing that. Not on this one. Because I think the 1000 scale, I think it's too small for that. But let me take a look. Let me rotate it the same way. Oh, it's not rotate. Okay, here we go. There we go. So let's see here. Try and get it so I don't have a shadow. It's not really working, is it? Wait a minute. No, it's just not working. These parts look completely different angle than these parts. It's so strange. It's like some kind of mirror universe. Whatever. And that'll be painted, but not till I get back from Thanksgiving weekend. And here you go. Here's some detail painting on the nacelles. The gray, which will be right in there. There you go. And that is about it. Oh, wait, the fantail. So, there you go. Oh, there's another one. Now, let's see. What does Jay say? Smoke satin? Well, I'm not using that. I'm using what I'm using. But there's the darker one. So that'll be a gunmetal. I'm going to test the lighter gunmetal. Same on the bottom fantail. Even in there. Good. And then the phaser. So, I'm going to do all the spray detail painting that I can, including the shuttle bay. So you see the base color, which I already did, so you can see from here, primered anyway, and the shuttle bay door. Alright, so that's all I'm going to do for that. And I have the main guide here. So that'll be for tomorrow. And I'll be using my tape to do the masking. Better get all the rest of it too. So, see you later. Hello everyone, it's Sean. I'm back again. And if I turn the box, you can see that I'm getting ready to tape the parts that I'm going to spray paint. But I have to go and get the instructions so I know which ones to tape off. Be right back. Alright, hello, I'm back again. I've got the guide I need to do the spray painting. And what I did is I marked out the guide. Everywhere that's circled in pink is something I'm going to tape off. But those nacelles are for tomorrow because I only primed them last night. What I am working on tonight is the phasers, the front grille here. Now I don't have much Tamiya haze gray left, but I hopefully have enough to do these sections and under the saucer as well. So what I'm going to do is now the interesting thing is you look at the spine piece. I don't have any dividing lines on the spine piece, but I do have these holes here and agreeably, so I'm going to have to use the other guide, the 670 scale guide here, to determine exactly what I'm supposed to mask off. Here we go, see? Well, that's interesting, you see? You see how there is a section. Oh, all right, so there is a section there that I mask off. Wait a minute. No, that's not right because it's below the torpedo mount. And yet, just a second here. I think I'm going to take a closer look and I'll be back. Here we go. On the saucer. You can see it there. In this case, there's not a section that's part of the saucer. Those two whole things, they are integrated into the actual the mount itself. And there's the greebly section. So I'm going to start masking and we'll see how it goes. What I am going to do is mask slightly larger than the part I need and then use the pencil or Sharpie to carve out the dividing line so I can do the cut. You can see an example of what I did here. I masked it off and I did in red the section I'm going to take off because that's the section that you want to paint. So what I have to do, get some supplies out of the way here because they're in the way at the moment. What I have to do now is I have to take out another styrene sheet, just one. Oh, some are thick, some are thin. Yeah, I'm going to use the thin one in this case for the masks. So now I take the X-Acto blade here. I'm going to see if I can do this on camera or not. I'm going to cut the mask carefully. Let's see. Let's do this. Can you? Oh, you can't quite see. Yeah, let me angle it a bit. There we go. All right. So I'm going to cut carefully the thing along the etched panel line. There you go. All right. So far, so good. The good thing is you can follow the exact etched panel line and cut out the piece. All right, now, if we did our job properly, should be able to, let's see, where are my tweezers? Well, I don't have them at present, but I do have the scissor here. Did our job properly, should be able to lift up the cut piece. Well, just give me a minute. So I'll do the cutting and I'll be back. There you go, see? That's the mask. So now you have a kind of reverse mask, exposing only the part that I want to do the painting on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to detail paint the phasers because you don't want spillover, it's very close. So I'll cover up the phasers as well so they don't get paint spillover. I'll paint them by hand. There you go. And the best thing now to do is to reinforce the area that I don't want to have paint on with the white tape, the one that goes around the curves, because it's the best one to use. Because you have to reinforce the curving section here. There. There. See? And you do that with the other one, and everything should be just fine. It's too much paint on my desk. That's the problem. But I do what I can. So I'll mask off the border and I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, the border is masked off. So all I have to do is do that on the other side. And of course, I'm leaving all the tape on the connecting area because I don't want anything to happen to it. So I've got to turn it so I can access it. So I will do the saucer, then we'll move on to the secondary hull, which fortunately is a bunch of straight lines, mostly. So I'll be back. All right, so there's the saucer done. Now and there's the two masks for it. So port here, starboard here. Looking at it from this angle, but again, when you flip it the other way around, it's also true. So now only the area that I want to be spray painted is visible. And to prevent paint from getting underneath the hull, I am going to do the reinforcing with the white tape again. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'll finish that, and then I'll move on to the next piece, which is the ventral starboard drive. I'm going to take up the pieces and work on them by hand and then stick them down again. Alright, so you've got this piece masked off. You've got the shapes you need. You're going to have to put them on the styrene. Again, there's the guide, the slightly cooler gray. And I'll put them on there, and we'll see what happens next. I'll be back. Because we're already at 7 minutes. Well, there we go. You can see the ventral fantails all masked off. I mean here. That's the shape. There's the shapes revealed for spray painting. And now it's time to do the this, which is the upper shuttle bay. And I'll just keep going on like that, and hopefully this video won't be 15 minutes long. There we go. Ready for the reverse mask cutout. There we go. All ready for masking, and all the mounting holes are covered. Next part is the spine piece. Got to check the instructions again to see where the spine is colored. Now, there is no part below the photon launcher, so there has to be a part above it. You can see on page 21 of the 677 Voyager, the greebly, and there, above the torpedo tube. Now, I'm not making the greebly that dark. I'm making it more haze gray. There's the top spine piece, all ready for painting. It includes there, yes. I think it joins right up, doesn't it? Not quite. There is a barrier in there. So you can see how I made my own masks, and how there's only one thing left, which is the saucer top. So everything's all ready for the masking. And there's the Tamiya Haze Gray I'm going to use for those dark pieces. So I'll go to the park, I'll do the spraying, and I'll be back. Oh, I'm going to use the big Star Destroyer box to put this in to protect it. Alright, so I'm back. I've got the parts spray painted. Now I'm going to let the paint settle and dry for the day. Take the surrounding masks off tomorrow, and we'll just see how we did. And you know, if some of the paint, if the lines stay, we'll have to find out. But I'm glad I masked off the entire fantail. And there, that looks pretty good. And then there's the bottom saucer. And here's the sheet, the test sheet with the two paint colors on it. So you can see the light ghost gray on the left and to me a haze gray on the right. I guess the can kind of rolled over, but you can see the distinction between the two colors. And we'll see how it dries. But that's about all for today. Don't have to do anything more now. Give everything a chance to dry, and then I'll repeat the procedure tomorrow for these parts. Now, as far as what I'm going to do tomorrow, it's basically just those two, but you might as well just cover the rest of the hull except for that. And on the nacelle, it is in there. And you might as well cover the rest. And you see the bottom nacelle, there's more, or maybe that's the top one. Yeah, that's pretty good. And of course, base coat this. Alright, so that's all for now, and I'll see you here next time. Alright, hello everyone, I'm back again. And I'm going to carefully take off all the excess tape so we can see how we did with the parts. Now don't worry about the overspray. It's going to be covered up with the main hull color. You know, maybe tomorrow night or when I get done detail painting. So I'll just start. I'm going to start with the spine piece here. It's the only part that didn't get any overspray. And don't worry, I've marked out all the masks, so once the paint is dry, you'll know where everything gets covered up when it's time. Well, there's the first piece. Looks pretty good to me. There's a bit of tape here. Don't worry, I have the mask set to fit exactly, so if there's any... it's nice on the sides. You can see the sides. So I'm just going to set the pieces aside, and as I take them off, I mean, I'll probably tape them back down to the box later. So the next thing we'll go for is the secondary hull. Now don't worry about the overspray, it gets covered up with the hull color. It's had a couple hours to dry, everything has, so it should work by now. And if there wasn't in complete coverage of everything, then we'll just have to fill it in with one of my grays. Now, I don't have a precise equivalent for Tamiya haze gray in a bottle paint, but I do have a bunch of grays I can test out, and we'll find the closest match, of course. Well, so far so good. You see the central square there? It got something good. It'll take some hand painting time. It'll work. It'll all work out. I have faith. But you can see how I should have really used the white tape to reinforce the border, but again, this is why all the tests are done on the bottom, to make sure. You don't want to test all this stuff on the top because it might get wrecked. Good thing there's only one thing on the top. That's pretty good. You can see one section where it got missing. But, I mean, this is my very first time doing reverse masking, so. Or masking of any kind in a couple of years, but. Alright, so next up is the top shuttle fantail. Thank goodness I have the precise masks that are the proper shape. Oh, well, so far so good. That's a nice clean line. I got it aligned exactly. I'll show you in just a minute. There we go. There's the fantail. There's the fantail. I'll take better pictures later. So that's pretty good, especially on that side. Yeah, gotta take care of overspray, certainly do. Alright, now the top saucer. I leave that tape intact. Covers up the spray holes when it's painting time. Well, actually, you can take it off. There we go. Okay, now I protected this as best I could because I didn't want anything to get messed up. So I'm going to take this one off on camera, not just talk about it. Careful, careful, careful. There's a little bit of overspray, but again, the main hull color is so close to this one that it won't really matter in the end. Here we go on the on either side. There you go. Let's see how we do. Ooh, wow, look at that. The tiniest smidge of overspray. Ugh. But there you go, see? Reverse masking worked pretty well. So, just one more piece, and then I gotta find my cardboard again to put it down, or to put down the red towel. I'll probably put them down on the red towel. So one more piece. One more piece to take off, and then we'll just see what we're looking at. Alright, so take off the parts on the bottom. Take off this. Because I'm just going to do detail painting now. I'm not going to do any more main hull painting until the detail painting is done and the masks are applied for each section of the hull. And this one was tested with reinforced white tape on either side of the border of the part. And as you can see, the results are worth it. In fact, it barely spilled over at all, except there. You can see the white color it once was, the bare plastic. All right, so here we go from this side. The white tape barrier, you can see the thicker. Here we go. Yeah, tape sticks to fingers. Yeah, I can see the benefit of having the white tape as the reinforcing piece, as you can see around here. No spillover, except where there wasn't tape, of course, white tape. So I'll do that from now on. That's live and learn. There, that is. There we go. So some parts didn't even get covered properly, but that's the saucer. So I'll lay out all the parts, and I'm going to have to test all the grays. I bet I have some gray cards in here somewhere. Well, there's a couple. I keep all my color cards, as you can see, all the color cards. Because you never know when you... Oh, well. Well, there's another gray. All right. Well, I haven't done a gray mix yet, but I will. And we'll see what mixture we can get that matches TS32 Haze Gray. Maybe I have a Tamiya that matches it. So I'm going to set up the red towel, put everything down on it, and we'll just see what we're looking at. I'll be right back. All right, so here's all the parts laid out. Try to take a good picture for the thumbnail. Here we go. That's my first attempt at masking. And of course, once everything is completely dry, you know, Thursday night before I travel, I will put down their respective masks on all the parts. So that's all for now. And we'll see you here next time. Hello everyone, it's Sean. I'm back again. And this is the next part of the Voyager build. And I realized when I take a look at the Revel Guide, because that's the one that's really helping me with the colors, you see how subtle the difference is between those panels near the back of the bottom saucer? You see how harsh I accidentally made mine? So I realized I'm going to make mine Royal Light Gray, which you can see here, which is almost the reverse. You see how it's a warmer gray on the here, and these are the lighter gray? Well, I'm going to do the reverse. And then, of course, that means that the parts that I painted, that they need to be just repaint them with the proper color. But because I did the detail painting on the phasers and this hinge, I'm going to mask off these two parts here to preserve the color. And the same thing on here and this antique gold piece. But I can spray paint the rest. And I'll spray paint this. Now don't worry about that aircraft color there. It'll be underneath the secondary hulls. This is just used as a paint test to see what shade it would look like. And as far as the top saucer, I can mask off this and then just spray the rest of the hull with the aircraft color. Just like I'm going to do with the secondary hull. And in the meantime, I'm going to mask off the nacelles so I can spray paint just the Royal Light Gray on them in those panels. So I'm going to do some masking and I'll be back and show you what it looks like. See, that is the only part of this section that I actually have to mask. Because then I can just spray paint the other parts properly. Alright, so I'll move on to the next piece. Alright, there's the mask for the other two parts. And I will move on to... Now this piece doesn't need any masking, so that's good. So you just have to mask the saucer, the top saucer, but you can see the top saucer piece, which I cut to be more accurate. I'm going to make a yellow border for it. I mean a white border. Okay, so there's the top saucer masked off. And all I have to do is mask off the thrusters and phasers of the bottom saucer, and then we'll be all ready for spray painting. So I'll do that, take a group picture of everything all masked off, and then we'll go off to the park for spray painting. So there you go, didn't take too long. The final pieces are masked, so I'll take the group picture and I'll go do the spray painting. So there's the group picture, everything's ready for spray painting. So now I just have to remember, I can put the things that are on a gripper in the same box. I can put the things that don't need a gripper in the same box, as long as I spray them separately. Alright, so I'm back from spray painting. What you can see here is the difference between the Royal Light Gray, which is really only designed for the square parts, and the Light Ghost Gray, which is for the main hull. So what I'll do is I'll put this up there so that it's safe. Alright, and here are the other parts. Now what I did is I took the main deflector out, sprayed it by itself. I took the top of the saucer out by itself. And then I left the Royal Light Gray sections in place. Now you can see, particularly here, it didn't actually get complete coverage from Royal Light Gray. So I'm going to have to take the saucer pieces out for a minute and spray them again. So just give me a moment. I will do just that. So, get underneath the saucer. There we go. Underneath, put it here. There we go. Get underneath the main deflector, so you're not actually touching the piece. There we go. And then move this part of the saucer from underneath only. There we go. And then move this piece. There we go. So I'll do the spraying and we'll see how it works. Alright, and that's all there is to it. And now the rest of the pieces are spray painted the proper color. And they can rest somewhere until they are taken care of. You know, until they're ready to work. Alright, so I can put... Now, nothing will go into that box now, so I'm going to have to put it over here until it's ready. Oops, wait a minute. Turn it the other way around. There you go. There you go. Now, as far as the other box, the other pieces, I'll put them on the mat for the picture. There we are. And there we are. I'll set them somewhere to dry. So there's the picture of the one box. And I'm not sure if I took a picture of the other box, which had a mix of two parts on it. Keep in mind that the nacelles are going to be masked eventually. There we go. So, oh, well, it would help if you had the reference colors, wouldn't it? There you go. There we are. So that's all for now, and I'll tell you what comes up next week. All right. That's going to do it for this week on the 1000 scale Voyager build. I made sure that I kept the spine pieces that are eventually, when the paint is dry, going to mask the saucer and the secondary hull. I'm going to have to make pieces for the nacelle struts, but you can see how I have everything else. And this guide and its subtle color variations has come in very handy, showing me exactly what I had to paint and where. And I guess the last thing to do is to mark the guide for my progress this week. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Alright, so I'm back again. I have marked out the guide as to what I've spray painted Most of the nacelle, as you can see, I have not. And of course, don't paint those, I won't. But I have just painted that on each nacelle. I have painted the secondary hull. And I have painted these a proper color. They have to be masked. Same with here. Deflector dish got painted the proper color. I mean the housing. Not the deflector dish itself. I haven't painted that yet. The top of the primary hull. But you see the purple for the phasers and the thrusters. They have yet to be painted. That way I know what I have yet to hand paint. Let's see. Step 5, deflector housing. That phaser is going to actually be colored with the wood deck tan. Gotta remember that the bottom of the secondary hull just has had that. And you can see the focard and the phasers I've painted, but not these yet. There's the bottom of the primary hull. Has only been spray painted with the Royalite Gray. Haven't painted the phaser or the rest of it yet. But I do see a section that's going to be light. And there's the assembled secondary hull showing what's been painted. And then you get to step 9. And you can see very little's been painted except there. Haven't even painted the landing legs yet. You've painted up here where you should. There. Not the top of the star drive. Oh, I guess you've painted both halves of it, haven't you? 1 second. There we go. So there you go, what's been assembled on step 9 and painted. The entire secondary hull halves and the top saucer. You can see what's left in purple. And the 2 nacelles, the only parts that have been painted so far. Oh, and keeping in mind that you do not paint the hinge sections at all. So they have to be orange, as in don't paint them. Okay, good. So that's about it for now. And I'll see you here next time for detail painting. I'm going to try to mask things off tomorrow morning before I go away for the weekend, so that when I come back for spray painting, I can do the main hull colors on everything. So talk to you all later, and we will see you here next time. That'll be part 2 of detail painting. So, see you later. Bye-bye. This is just a bonus clip for part 1 of the Voyager build, just showing how I have put on the proper light gray on each of the parts, and then I'll prepare to mask them off. Just wanted to get some shots of everything all together, because all these parts here are going to require some detail painting at home. Even there. Yes. And of course there's the blue parts, the bluish gray parts. Now you can see how, from here, very little paint got on the section that's going to join. Very little primer either, but it got on the hull, just as it should. Now of course you can see where I clipped it off, but of course that's going to be joined underneath the saucer, so you're not going to see those marks. And here's the other side. Here's the other side. You can see the difference between the practically bare plastic and the bluish gray. Look at how it gleams. So that's another reason why I'm thinking I won't need to put on a gloss coat, because it's smooth and gleaming enough. So I won't need to put on a gloss coat before I do the decals. This stays masked, at least until it's detail painting time, which would probably be done only once the base coat is on, I think. But we'll see. It depends how much time I have. I'm not going to put a backing on the escape pods. I'm just going to put them down as they are. No Winka Gold on the escape pods this time. Yeah, so that's all for now. That is the end of part 1 of the Voyager build. And part 2 will start on Saturday with detail painting. So have a good Thanksgiving weekend. Bye-bye.